Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. One for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. It is going to be relatively mild. There will be some cooler spells, like at the moment it's relatively chilly, but generally it is going to be pretty mild, and we are going to see quite a bit of heavy rain further northwards and westwards that at times could drift southwards and eastwards. And this is because we've got the jet stream pretty much over the top of us, higher pressure to our south, lower pressure to the north, and it's kind of going to be a bit of a battle between that high pressure and low pressure, and it is going to mean the air masses are going to oscillate quite a bit, but as I said, generally will be above average, and we are going to see lots of weather fronts trying to push in, but having varied success. Then we'll have a look at the longer range as we will now head well into February, and we'll be able to see what the longer range charts do have in store. Now, of course, we have been talking about the risk of something a little bit more a little more seasonable, or at least cooler, returning into February, and that pattern does continue today. Definitely looking like a real possibility after a pretty mild next week or so. We could see the jet stream slowly shift further southwards, encouraging cooler or even colder air masses returning, and even the GFS today actually does produce a pretty big colder pattern towards the end of its run, with the low pressure pulling away into Europe, bringing a bitterly cold northerly wind in as we head into early parts of February. So have a look at that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if we start on the live radar, you can see showers are pushing into the north and the west at the moment, but as I said, it is a battle between low pressure and high pressure, and today, high pressure is generally winning, and that's why it is fairly dry further southwards, with that high pressure system building in off the near continent. But we are going to see areas of rain, both shower activity and frontal systems moving in, so it is going to be quite a bit wetter further northwards and westwards, but it won't be wet all the time, and further south and eastwards it will generally be drier, but there will be bits of rain getting through. Now, if you have a look at the temperatures, you can see this evening it is chilly further southwards under the higher pressure. We've got slightly colder air, and that means that we're going to see a little bit of a frost develop in a few areas. Again, that is something that we should be seeing this time of year. It's not unusual at all to be seeing a frost towards the coldest time of the year, but compared to the general upper air temperatures we're going to see over the coming days, this is a little bit of an anomaly. Further northwards, under the lower pressure, cloud and closest to milder air masses, you can see it is not quite as cold. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you'll be able to see that over the coming hours, rainfall is going to try and push in from the west into Saturday morning, but most of Saturday it should be fairly dry, but a bit cloudy. That rain will slowly edge in from the west and give a bit of heavier rain across parts of western Scotland there, and then it's really into Sunday and Monday where we start to see actual weather fronts starting to approach. You can see it has limited success the further south and eastwards it pushes, and you see actually that system doesn't really get anywhere as we head into the early part of Monday. Then we see more rainfall pushing in, and this is why it's going to be pretty wet and relatively chilly further north as west, but you can even see a bit of snow mixing in there. That's some very heavy precipitation combined with colder air. We're seeing evaporative cooling, so I wouldn't take those too literally, but just shows you that under some very heavy rainfall, some fairly cold upper air temperatures, there is the possibility of a little bit of snow for some on Monday, but for most it will be rain. Eventually that system does move through and continues to progress out in the North Sea and does sweep a bit of rain in for all, and then we go into a fresh westerly flow, but again, same sort of conditions, much more unsettled and wetter in the north and west, cooler and drier further south and eastwards, but whenever we do see these weather fronts move through, it will shift those air masses. You can see those air masses quite well on the upper air temperatures at the moment. You can see through this evening, cooler further southwards as we head through the weekend. Milder air arrives for the south. Colder air does start to sweep back in for Monday, though, with that weather front. Doesn't make too much success before milder air tries to push back in, for the cold air does push it away, and you kind of see we're just oscillating between different air masses. No succinct pattern, pretty typical for a westerly wind. Now, do look at the max temperatures. You can see through this evening a bit of an isolated frost further south, with perhaps a little bit more widespread than the models are making it out to be, given what the live radar was showing. Into tomorrow, we can see temperatures are generally around average to slightly above average, around that 7 to 10 degree mark. And then into Sunday, again, could be a little bit chilly overnight, but not quite as cold as tonight. And by the afternoon, could see temperatures around that again, 7 to 10 degree mark quite widely, perhaps as much as 12 or 13 degrees across Northern Ireland, Wales, and the Republic of Ireland there. As we head into Monday, the cooler air will sweep through, and you can see by Monday afternoon, still pretty mild across the south and the east, where that milder air hasn't got shoved away, but further northwards and westwards, mid to low single digits, as that cooler or colder air starts to waft in. As we head into Tuesday, still cold in the north, but still pretty mild further southwards, but for all on Tuesday, we're into that fresher air. And eventually to Wednesday, again, cooler in the morning, but by the afternoon, milder air has pushed back in. Now, said if we do have a look at those longer range charts now, we'll be able to see a lot of variable changes over the coming days and coming weeks, and there could be a bit of a pattern establishing for cooler weather to return into early February. You can see westerly winds continue over the coming days, actually veering southwesterly at times, and that will encourage pretty mild air moving in. You can see though that high pressure is always close by, but low pressure is always close by as well, and this just means that it's going to be very up and down and variable conditions. You can see I've seen some of these charts going around recently around the sort of day 5, day 6 range. We could be pulling in a very mild southwesterly. You can see here very warm air coming up under higher pressure. Again, I'm skeptical exactly what the surface temperatures will entail here. If we have a look at the GFS, you can see it is suggesting temperatures around the 12, 13 degree mark, maybe slightly higher in subsequent days. But I've seen some people saying, 16, 17 degrees. From the looks of it, that's not particularly likely at this stage because the air masses are moving around. If it was a little bit more of a stationary pattern, then that probably could be plausible. But you see into longer range here, we start to see the jet stream slowly shift southwards, and to end the run, we actually see a bit of high pressure towards Greenland and colder air starting to get nudged back into Europe. And right at the end of the run, we see a low pressure system pull away into Europe, and on the back edge, opening the floodgates to bitterly cold northerly winds, temperature deviation well below average, potential equivalent temperature well below average. If we zoom in, dew points well below freezing, and the surface temperatures hovering around freezing on that at midday. So GFS goes bitterly cold towards the end. Definitely a plausible pattern in the longer term. It's not a massive block, but definitely big amplified jet stream and colder air heading our way. It is going to be one to watch, but at this stage it is still quite far in the extended range, and we're just going to have to continue to look at hints of this occurring as we head towards the 7 to 10 day time frame. If you have a look at the GM, see how that does compare out towards day 10. Again, the similar pattern of high pressure to our south, low pressure to our north, kind of oscillating between them, and you can generally see the jet stream straight over the top of us. Right into the extended range, you can see that high pressure shifting northwards, trying to get towards Greenland or Iceland or even Scandinavia, but not having a lot of hope. Here, though, definitely a lot more of an amplified jet stream, definitely a bit of a change. You can see cold air could try and sneak in, but the most likely scenario would be high pressure over the top of us, still being midwinter. We'd probably see an inversion, still be frosty and cold, but probably wouldn't see anything too crazy unless this high was further westwards, and we did see this northerly plunge, or if it was further northwards. So just again, one to watch. If you compare to the ECMWF as well, out towards day 10, again, westerly winds continue to push in. Very similar out towards sort of day 6, day 7, but it's really towards 240 hours we start to see a little bit of a shift. That jet stream pushed southwards and more higher pressure up towards northeast Canada and the North Atlantic. By no means is it blocked at all. No, by no means is it guaranteed colder conditions, but you can definitely see a shift of more colder air in the North Atlantic, at least compared to right now, where it's all focused across Greenland. At day 10, it's spread across Scandinavia, northeast Canada, and generally towards Iceland and close to our north, even getting into parts of Scotland there. So that would imply that the risk of generally more widespread cooler or even colder conditions would be more plausible out towards that day 10 point. Again, one to watch. We'd actually have to see a proper high pressure system develop in the North Atlantic to see anything sustained, but definitely could be suggestive of something a little bit more cool and more sustained. So if we do finally finish off by having a look at the latest ensembles, So if you start on the latest GFS, you can see over the next week, you see it's generally going to be pretty mild indeed. Some days it will equate to surface temperatures, other days it won't. That's just the nature of this time of year, where upper air temperatures can equate to very mild surface temperatures, and sometimes it cannot. So it is just going to be one of those. We've just got to keep an eye on the UKV and see what that is showing day to day. But you can see into early February definitely is a shift towards more average conditions, but that's really just the ensembles giving a lot of spread. No point looking at the mean here because we've got some very mild runs and we've got some very cold runs. But I definitely would look at those cold runs and say that definitely a pattern change will be coming. The fact that those cold runs exist means the majority of ensemble members don't have just a flat westerly anymore. They have something a little bit more amplified, higher pressure, pushing northwards, allowing that colder air to move in. So it doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, but it just means that that is a plausible idea as we head into early February, whereas the next week it doesn't look like there's any chance of anything particularly cold at all. You see that with the 2 metre temperatures definitely on a bit of a downwards trend in the longer term, but again, with lots of spread. Same with the dew point slowly heading towards freezing. And if you compare to the ECMWF ensembles, which have pretty much come out for the evening now, again, pretty similar, really, well above average over the next week, and then trending towards average in terms of the ensemble mean, but really it's around that sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th of February, we see massive spread, some well above average, some well below average, and it's just going to be one we're going to have to keep a very close eye on. Another sign that the jet stream could be pushing southwards is also the precipitation picks up as well. Some of that could be snow, some of it could just be rain, but definitely would be suggestive of that jet stream pushing southwards, whereas at the moment it's over us, if not slightly to our north across Scotland. And that means for the London, further southwards, it's actually pretty dry. And if you have a look at Glasgow, you can see it's slightly cooler and a lot wetter. And that is all because the jet stream is shifting slowly northwards, where we'd normally see it in the summer. Sometimes we see it there, but perhaps even further northwards in the summer, but not what we'd expect in mid-winter, where the milder air is allowed to push very far northwards. Normally the jet streams over the top of us or just to our south, keeping us around that milder air, but lots of opportunities of cooler conditions. At the moment, not looking plausible at all in the next week. But as I said, as we head into early February, it definitely is one to watch, especially if a pattern like the GFS came off, for example. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. If you are looking forward to milder, dry weather, then do enjoy it. If you are in the south, if you're further northwards, it's not going to be quite as mild. Still will be relatively mild, but there will be quite a bit of rain around, unfortunately. And then it is all to play for as we head into February. Definitely looking like it will turn more unsettled for all, but it could be a cooler or even colder, more unsettled pattern. We will just have to wait and see. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.